dating cavemen. Scientists say this man died 5,730 years ago, and this food is 11,460 years old. Scientists can work out how long an animal or plant has been dead by carbon dating. Most of what you eat is made of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is how to say carbs. Yeah, sugar and starch. Starch is bread and pasta and pizza base. They make carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, fats and proteins all contain chains of carbon atoms. Carbohydrates, fats, proteins. All this carbon becomes part of your muscles, skin, bones and brains. 1 in a trillion of your carbon atoms is radioactive. Radioactive. Radioactive carbon is made high up in the atmosphere. The sun's rays hit nitrogen atoms and change them into a radioactive carbon. Carbon atom. Nitrogen. Radioactive atoms are called unstable isotopes. All isotopes of carbon have 6 protons. Isotopes have different numbers of neutrons. Carbon 12 with 6 neutrons is stable. Carbon 14 with 8 neutrons is unstable. C14 carbon 14 releases radioactive particles. There we go. So there's your stable nitrogen with 14 nucleons, protons and neutrons added together, nucleons, 7 protons. Electron released due to harmful sun's rays, the beta particle. Oh, there's a little bit there. I'll get rid of. Beta particles are electrons, so they're -1. They've got a 0 here because the mass of an electron is 2,000th the size of a proton or a neutron. So it's so close to 0, we write 0. Unstable radioactive carbon. Okay. Oh yeah, so that's got 14, that's got 14. That's got 7, that's got 6. So one of the protons in nitrogen has turned into a neutron for carbon. There we go. 14 massive bits hits a proton. The beta hits a proton. It's protons. 8 neutrons. Yeah, anything with 6 protons is a carbon. Doesn't matter how many neutrons it has. Any with 7 protons is a nitrogen. Doesn't matter how many neutrons it has. Oh, this is 14 massive bits in the nucleus. Mass number 14. This one's mass number 14 as well. 7 plus 7. The proton gets turned into a neutron. Atomic weight, 14. Atomic weight, 14. Our atomic weight and atomic mass are the same because different scientists decided to call them mass and weight, and we're stuck with using both words. A neutron is a proton with an electron inside. N equals P plus E. Neutron equals proton plus electron. Radioactive carbon becomes carbon dioxide, which is absorbed by plants in the reaction called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Then you eat the plants. You use the plant's carbons to grow. Half of the radioactive carbon turns back into nitrogen every 5,730 years. So 5,730 years is called the half-life of the unstable isotope carbon-14. Carbon-14 is written C14. C14. A mass spectrometer counts how much C14 there is compared with C12. Spectrometer. Radio tells scientists when the plant died. The ratio. Oh, the radio. The ratio. Mass spectrometers can also date the human who ate the plant. The common stable isotope of carbon is carbon-12. Yeah, 6 protons, 6 neutrons for most carbons. 1 in a trillion carbons in carbon dioxide is unstable radioactive carbon-14. Ooh. Got it. Phew. Unstable. Half of carbon-14 becomes nitrogen. 14. Every 5,730 years. 5,730 is called the half-life of carbon-14. If the man has 1 in a trillion carbon-14, he died recently. If the man has 1 in 2 trillion carbon-14s, he died 5,730 years ago. If the man has 1 in 4 trillion carbon-14s, he died hold on, double that. 11,064. 460, yes. 1 in 8 trillion, he died. Oh, I've got to double that number. Died, 8 times 5,730 years ago. The amount of unstable isotope halves every half life. Go! Press like, press subscribe. Bye!